Unveiling 3 Haunted Lake House Secrets, terrifying tales of cursed shores and sinister encounters. The old lake house loomed like a specter under the moonlight, whispering secrets of the past, secrets that rattled the very soul of Cedar Creek. It was a picturesque nightmare. Sarah stood at the doorstep with her 2 kids, Sam and Lily, trembling but determined. After fleeing her abusive ex-husband, she thought this secluded haven would grant them peace. But the peeling paint and crooked porch felt like a warning. She shook it off, ready to find solace among the remnants of laughter that once filled the air. What she couldn't know was that terror waited just beneath the surface, hidden in the dark waters of the lake. As night fell, the first strange sound echoed through the walls. It was a faint whisper, like the hiss of smoke curling around her. Sarah dismissed it as the house settling, but then she spotted shadowy figures skimming the water, vanishing into the blackness. Chills crept down her spine. More than once, she caught herself glancing at the lake, uneasy, her heart racing. It was said that Cedar Creek held unsolved mysteries of families who had disappeared without a trace. Ghostly tales echoed in her mind, but she brushed them aside, determined to carve out a new life for her children. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But the unease blossomed into dread. The neighbors spoke in hushed tones, something about the lake house, about a sinister history that soaked into the very earth. Sarah's attempts to uncover the truth only drew her deeper into a tapestry of horror. The stories intertwined respectable townfolk with dark deeds hidden behind closed doors. Static filled the air. She could feel the tension pulsating, a sense of foreboding always lurking just out of sight. Storm clouds gathered on the horizon as the first drops of rain splattered against her windows, taunting her with a sense of impending doom. It was then, amidst the crackle of thunder, that her world tipped into chaos. Panic surged through her veins as she turned to find Sam and Lily gone. Her heart pounded like a drum as she screamed their names unheard over the deluge that echoed around her, amplifying her terror. Shadows danced closer, whispering a melody of despair that chilled her bones. They were not the first to be swallowed whole by the waves of this cursed place. Desperate, Sarah clutched a flashlight, stepping outside into the tempest. The beam trembled in her hands as the lake's surface swelled, reaching for her like a predator. That same chill wrapped around her ankle, icy and relentless. She froze, breathless as the shadows morphed, revealing faces bent in anguish, voices crying out from the depths. Would she become just another whisper in Cedar Creek's forgotten lore? The sinister truth clawed at her sanity. She stood at the edge of the world, caught between hope and horror. Would she find her children before the darkness consumed them, or would she too be lost, swallowed by the very secrets she sought to unveil? The rain poured relentlessly, a torrential flood thrumming against Sarah's skin. Panic clawed at her throat as she scanned the darkness, searching for any sign of Sam and Lily. The lake, rumbling and unpredictable, reflected only shadows, but she could sense the malevolence lurking beneath its surface. Each flash of lightning illuminated ghastly figures, twisting in the murky water, their hollow eyes pleading, taunting her as if they knew the way to her children. Sam. Lily. Her voice cracked through the storm, swallowed almost instantly by the howling wind. With her heart racing, she waded toward the water's edge. The ground was slick, mud sucking at her shoes like a grasping hand. She stumbled but caught herself before losing her balance. No. She couldn't fall. Not now. As she looked closer, something glimmered amidst the waves. Could it be a reflection? No, it was her daughter's favorite necklace, sparkling as it was pulled beneath the churning surface. It was impossible. A dread of inevitable loss surged, twisting her stomach. The whispers grew louder, coalescing into ragged breaths as if the lake itself exhaled regret and sorrow. Then, just beyond the edge of light, she spotted movement, a small figure, barely discernible against the dark, struggling towards her from the icy water. "Mom!" Sam's voice sliced through her fear, bringing with it a fleeting sense of hope. She dashed through the rain, heart pounding, casting the beam of her flashlight in that direction. "Sam!" But as he emerged, drenched and shivering, her relief was short-lived. Sam's eyes were wide and frightened, but he was alone. "Where's Lily?" she demanded, panic widening her eyes. Sam shook his head, confusion mingling with terror. "I don't know. She was right behind me." A flash of lightning illuminated the lake, revealing swirling shapes just beneath the surface. They weren't just shadows, they were limbs pale, desperate, reaching for salvation. Strangled cries echoed around her. Sarah backed away instinctively, terror swirling in her mind, but her heart wouldn't let go of her children. She had to find Lily. "Stay close," she shouted, grabbing Sam's hand as they retreated from the water's edge. The rain fell heavier, dramatic splashes hitting the ground. What was happening? Was this part of that cursed legacy the neighbors had whispered about? The air shifted, the wind growing colder and wrapping around her like a shroud. She felt the sharp lift of dread in her throat. "Lily!" Her voice trembled, urgency mounting as she felt the lake's begging pull. Suddenly, the sounds of a child's laughter cut through the storm. High and innocent, it contrasted starkly with the chaos. Sarah froze, dread coiling tighter. It was Lily's voice, but twisted. The laughter came from deeper within the woods, where shadows clung to trees as if hiding secrets. "Mommy!" The voice called again, echoing with an otherworldly quality that made Sarah shiver. The wind howled, almost as if warning her. "Don't go, Sarah," Sam whispered, fear painting his voice. But she couldn't ignore it. "We have to find her, Sam." They plunged into the darkness of the woods, each step heavier than the last, the echoes of laughter drawing them deeper. The trees loomed overhead, branches clawing in the gale, the air thickening with an unnatural chill. What awaited them amongst the shadows? As fear surged in her chest, she couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched, but by whom or what? And then, a figure appeared, a flicker of white against the dark, swaying eerily between the trees. Was it Lily? "Lily!" Sarah screamed, launching forward, hope battling against fear and dread. Could this be the moment she would finally uncover the depths of this nightmare, or would it plunge her into an abyss from which she could never return? The woods swallowed their cries as Sarah sprinted towards the flickering figure, each step weighed down with foreboding. The rain had turned the ground into a slick quagmire, but she paid no mind to her precarious footing. Just ahead, the figure moved again, a sliver of white. "Lily!" Her voice pierced the night once more, desperation etched deep into her tone. The figure halted, its face obscured by shadow, but the larger outline was unmistakably that of a child. "Mommy!" A sweet voice rang out, yet something about it felt distorted, as if it were being pulled apart by the wind. "Lily?" Sarah's heart raced as the flicker of white began to retreat, darting deeper into the trees. Was it really her daughter, or an illusion conjured by the storm? She glanced back at Sam, clinging desperately to her hand. His face was pale, dread painting his features. "Please. We can't follow it." Sam's voice trembled. "It's not safe." She cursed under her breath, torn between the urge to stay safe and the instinct to chase after the sound of her child's voice. But those laughter echoes continued to swirl around them, haunting melodies that intertwined with the crack of thunder. It beckoned, calling her deeper into the woods where shadows melded into shape, pulsing like a heartbeat. "I have to go, Sam." "I can't leave her." With a swift motion, she yanked her hand away from his grip. Already, Sarah could feel the overwhelming draw of that familiar laughter, as if it had wrapped itself around her like a cloak. She was losing control, but she couldn't lose her daughter. The figure stopped again. This time it pointed towards a low-hanging branch that swayed as if on cue, urge emanating from its very roots. "Mommy, come play." The voice called, now almost sing-song, sweetly taunting. Each syllable dripped with a sinister undertone. "Lily!" She shouted again, more panic spilling into her words. Her feet moved against her better judgment, carrying her through the thick underbrush, branches swatting at her face. The wind picked up, howling as if to swallow her words whole. Sam's voice grew softer behind her until all she could hear were the raindrops pounding on leaves and, below it, the laughter that danced like flames in the darkness. Then she lost the flicker, the white outline swallowed by the dense shadows. "Lily!" Sarah tried again, panic surging in her chest. The laughter rang out again, but now it sounded far away, echoing through the treetops, swirling around like a dark spell. As she paused to catch her breath, a chill crept up her spine. The woods were alive, rustling whispers sliding through the branches. From behind her, the whispers turned into cries of lost children, voices wrapped in despair. Sarah spun around, heart pounding. "Sam!" She shouted, but the air was thick with silence. A horrific realization surged through her. She could no longer hear Sam's footsteps behind her. "No! No!" She spun again, panic rising rapidly as she yelled his name. "Sam!" But the only reply was the laughter, twisted and gleeful, wrapping around her like fingers around a throat. Shadows flitted between the trees. Her heart raced, sensing the presence of something lurking, waiting, watching. Glancing back, Sarah saw the flickering white figure again. No, it wasn't just one, there were many now, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly hunger. In that horrifying moment, she didn't know if she would save Lily or succumb to the darkness that had enveloped them both. And then the laughter rose again, louder, more eager. She was not alone. The woods closed in around her, and she realized the truth, she wasn't just searching for Lily. She was being hunted. As shadows leaped towards her, Sarah made a choice. She had to face the darkness head-on. But would she find her daughter or something far worse? Breath caught in her throat, Sarah stood frozen, adrenaline coursing through her veins like fire. The ghosts of desperate laughter surrounded her, echoing from every shadow, thrumming beneath the pounding rain. She rose to her toes, straining to catch any sign of Sam, any shimmer of hope amongst the encroaching darkness, but only silence crushed down like a weight against her chest. Those whispers, they twisted through the trees, curling into her ears like smoke. "Sarah! Sarah!" a chorus called, each note stinging more than the last. They were familiar voices, distant echoes of children lost, pleading, and throbbing with fear. She stumbled back, the quagmire sucking at her boots, muddy water sloshing around her ankles. Then the flickering white figures closed in, their shapes morphed in the shadows, darting between trunks like moths to a dying flame. Where was Lily? Tension coiled tightly around her heart, squeezing until she thought it might burst. She yelled again, wincing at how small her voice sounded amidst the cacophony. "Lily! Where are you?" The laughter erupted again, this time mingled with something more sinister, a growl, low and rumbling, swirling around her like a tempest. Suddenly, the laughter stopped. It cut through the night like glass breaking. She held her breath, nails digging into her palms, waiting for the next sound, a breath, a whisper, anything, and then it came. Small fingers brushed against her ankle, cool as death. Fear shot through her, and she leaped back, whirling to face the darkness. "Who's there?" she shouted, forcing her voice to sound unwavering, though the tremor betrayed her. The air grew heavy, thick like molasses, solidifying the dread that crashed in waves against her. "Mommy!" The voice was a child's, soft yet twisted, drifting from directly behind her, as if the shadows themselves deigned to speak. Before she could react, a tiny hand gripped her wrist. "Hard!" Sarah gasped, a scream clawing up her throat. She tore herself away, turning to flee into the thickening darkness, but the shadows quickly enveloped her. She felt like she was drowning in a sea of cold, swirling shapes, and the world she knew faded into a void of twisted limbs and swirling whispers that closed in tighter around her. The flickering figures emerged around her again, swaying like the wisps in the dim light. There were too many to count, each bearing eyes that glimmered with a cry of longing, yet tainted with something darker, something ravenous. They moved closer, their laughter resonating not joyous, but mocking. She was their prey. Just then, something crashed to the ground nearby, sending a shockwave of mud and water splashing up. Sarah turned, ready to make a dash, but a soft voice broke through the chaos. "Mommy?" It sounded so close, so real. "Lily." Hope pierced through the veil of terror momentarily. She rushed toward the sound, but each step felt like wading through syrup, the shadows closing tighter. Every flicker of movement brought her deeper into the trap. "Mommy, come play." The voice scoffed, deeper now, resonating with a dark, cruel humor. Sarah's heart raced. Play? What could they want from her? Her mind raced with horror-filled thoughts of what these shadows feasted upon. "Lily!" She screamed, desperation clawing through each syllable. She had to fight through the noise, make sense of the chaos. "Stay where you are. I'm coming." But the shadows surged forward, each flicker growing into a wall of whispering terror. She blinked back, tears, fear and rage igniting her spirit, drowning out the creeping despair. With every ounce of strength, she pushed through, tearing at the darkness. "Let her go!" She screamed, the words torn from her gut. With one final push, she broke free from the spectral clutch, eyes wide on a clearing ahead. Moonlight touched the ground, bright as day. Just beyond lay a figure, small and pale, hunched low, back against the trunk of a soaked tree. "Lily!" The figure turned slowly. "Mommy?" But the voice that reached her ears was not the one she recognized. It was sweet and sing-song, yet laced with a cold familiarity that paralyzed her in place. As the figure began to rise, shadows peeled back like wet paint, revealing a face far too familiar yet somehow wrong. "Do you want to come play with us?" It beckoned, eyes glinting in the darkness. Horror washed over Sarah. She remembered the legends of the woods, tales that had once been bedtime stories. But here, they felt like warnings, syllables woven through the thick fog of night, and then she realized this was no mere game. The forest stirred as if possessing a consciousness, the laughter rising again, louder this time, and her chance of escape dwindling by the second. Would she save Lily, or had she already lost herself to the wicked woods? The weight of the shadows pressed down heavily, each second stretching into an eternity. The question remained, could Sarah untangle her child from the darkness before it consumed them both? The figure before her twisted in the moonlight, its smile widening unnaturally. "Come play, Mommy," it sang, the words laced with malice, the sweetness now a taunt. Sarah's heart raced, hammering against her ribs like a panicked bird desperate to escape. The shadows pulsed around her, thickening with purpose. Play? This wasn't a game. It was a trap, and Lily was caught in its web. "No!" Sarah shouted, voice breaking. She took a deep breath and willed her feet to move, inching closer to the figure that was, perhaps, a distorted reflection of her daughter. Each step felt like wading through invisible chains, the air drenched in a choking fog of despair. "Mommy?" The figure tilted its head, eyes glimmering with an unsettling light, like a predator toying with its prey. Sarah could see Lily's features in this twisted version, soft yet grotesquely warped. Her stomach churned as she fought to hold on to the threads of sanity. This thing wore her child's skin, it had to be stopped. The voices around her grew louder, a cacophony of laughter and pleading. "Join us!" They chimed, filling the air with an otherworldly joy that dripped with dread. Shadows danced, taunting her, beckoning towards the abyss. "Stay away from her!" Sarah screamed, desperation pouring from her. She felt the darkness tug at her mind, promising relief from her fear, but she couldn't give in. Not now. "Mommy, I'm scared," the voice behind her echoed, pulling her attention. It was softer, filled with genuine distress. But where was the real Lily? "Show yourself!" Sarah screamed, her voice cracking, raw with emotion. The shadows twitched, as if her words had disturbed something ancient, something asleep within the depths of this forest. The warped figure laughed, a high-pitched cackle that sent chills racing down her spine. "You want her? You have to play with us first." "Never." Sarah shot back, grit surfacing in her resolve. She pushed against the tide of whispers, trying to find the source of Lily's voice. The laughter intensified, drowning out her thoughts, drowning out everything. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath her feet. The trees around her wept shadows, uprooting memories mingled with sorrows. Row after row of figures emerged, their faces flickering between a child's innocence and those twisted by terror. They surrounded her, their laughter turning into a war cry. "Sarah! Help me!" The cry broke through the chaos, a direct arrow to her heart. Panic surged as she stumbled back, nearly losing her footing in the mire. The real Lily's voice, desperate and distant. She caught a glimpse of an arm reaching from the darkness, a flash of familiar skin, warm and real. "Lily!" she cried, launching forward. But the shadows closed in, a quilt of despair restricting her movement. The distorted figure, now uncomfortably close, grinned wider, revealing rows of teeth like shards of glass. "You want her? You're mine first. Come play." In that moment, Sarah understood, if she wanted to save her daughter, she had to confront the darkness itself. The choice loomed before her: give in to the shadows or resist, to fight her way through layers of terror. With a surge of adrenaline, she mustered all her courage, pushing back against the voices that threatened to consume her. She took a step forward, heart pounding, gaze locked on the wavering reflection of Lily. "I'm not afraid of you," she bellowed, pitch rising. The shadows recoiled momentarily, surprised at her defiance. The twisted figure paused, its eyes narrowing. "Defiance is futile, come to us," but this time, desperation transformed into fury. "You want to take her? I'll fight for my child, even if it kills me." The figure shrieked, the chilling sound echoing through the trees as more specters joined, their laughter shifting from amusement to madness. They surged forward as if drawn by her resolve, eager to snatch her from the light. Racing towards her daughter, dread gripped her heart. Could she reach Lily before the darkness snared them both? The battle was on, but the ground trembled beneath her, a warning of the storm yet to come. "Mommy, please." The genuine fear in Lily's voice rang through Sarah like a bell tolling. Each step felt like a step closer to salvation or doom. And just as she reached for the figure in the moonlight, the shadows lunged, desperate to drag her down into their abyss. What would happen next? Could she outlast the relentless grip of the dark? Would she see her daughter's face again or become another whisper in the wind? The shadows lunged, a dark tide threatening to engulf her. Sarah's heart raced, pounding in rhythm with the cacophony of madness swirling all around. She felt it now, claws of darkness raking at her skin, whispering sinister promises in her ears. "Join us," they coaxed, voices melding into a symphony of dread. "Lily!" A scream escaped her lips, raw and desperate. Time twisted. Every second stretched taut like a bowstring as she strained toward that figure, a grotesque mockery of her daughter. The silhouettes around her trembled, shadows writhing under a sky thick with despair. With her mind focused on Lily, Sarah pushed through the fog. She cried out again, "I will find you." The promise burned in her heart, fueling her steps as darkness clawed at her. The grotesque child grinned, a chandelier of teeth glistening malevolently. "You think you can save her? You can't even save yourself." It twisted, revealing more of its horrific visage. Its laughter crescendoed, chilling the air and sending icy shivers racing down her spine, but the faint flicker of hope crackled in Sarah's veins. She could not allow the shadows to wrap around her heart. She pulled memories of laughter, sunlight, and love together, each one illuminating her resolve anew. I'll endure. You will not win. In that moment, she saw it, a flicker of light breaking through the oppressive gloom. It was Lily's spirit fighting back, shimmering in defiance. Mommy. The plea was more than an echo. It was a plea for strength, a tether reaching out between worlds. Sarah turned toward it, feeling the darkness real, fleeting as if afraid of the light. Could it actually be fading? She surged forward, propelled by a newfound energy, clawing through twisted branches that sought to ensnare her. Each step inched her closer, closer to her daughter's call, wading through a morass of despairing laughter. Just ahead, carving through the shadows, Lily's light flickered like a candle battling the wind, but the dark figure wouldn't let her escape so easily. Shadows twisted and writhed, snapping at Sarah's heels, pulling her back into the abyss. You're ours. You can't escape. Lily belongs to us. Shut up. Sarah screamed, her voice a blade cutting through the clamor. She halted, fist raised, a defiant torch against the sea of darkness. Not today. The figure recoiled, something like a snarl leaving its lips. The twisted mockery of Lily caught her gaze again, its smile a mask of rage and longing. You think you know the truth? The confrontation cracked the air. The shadows hesitated, swirling uncertainly, their malevolence momentarily dimmed. Where is she? Sarah demanded, feeling her reality twist and turn like a mirage. Show me my daughter. With a blast of fury, she steeled herself against the encroaching darkness. What do you want from us? The figure laughed again, low and guttural, as if savoring her fear. You want answers, mother? Your wish is our command. Suddenly, the shadows parted, revealing a scene behind them, a grotesque mockery of the past. Sarah stumbled back, nearly losing her footing. In the flickering shadow scene, she saw Lily, the real Lily, trapped behind a curtain of swirling darkness, her terrified eyes wide with fear. Beside her, countless other figures writhed, trapped in a dance of despair. Help me, Mommy. The terror clawed at Sarah's heart, her breath coming in frantic gasps. She was out of time. I'm coming. She shouted, but the figures surged forward, a wall of despair, blocking her path, but then, like a rising tide of determination, something shifted within Sarah. She wasn't just battling for Lily, she was fighting for every lost soul trapped in the shadows. If she could stand against this evil, perhaps she could break the chains forever, but as she took a step forward, the ground churned beneath her. The darkness surged again, pulling her into its depths. Come join us. The game is only just beginning. It shrieked, laughter echoing like a funeral dirge. The weight of despair settled in her chest, trying to suffocate her spirit. A choice loomed: stand fast and face the shadows, or let them pull her down into their hole of oblivion. With every ounce of will left in her, Sarah reached out, but as she did, the shadows howled, blurring her vision. They promised the relief of oblivion. Temptation gnawed at her like a parasite. Would she succumb? Mommy, Lily's voice called again, softer this time, tinged with fear. The darkness shivered, its grip tightening just as Sarah made her choice. No. I won't give in. She cried, heart racing. She lunged forward, determined to break free. But with every inch she gained, the shadows fought back. Could she withstand them? A louder voice filled her mind as she broke into a sprint. I won't lose you, Lily. And as they rushed together towards the beam of light, time stilled. The shadows reached, the real daughter called, and Sarah felt the weight of multiple lives linked to her choice. Would the truth set them free? Or was it too late for salvation? The dark laughed as the collision drew near. Let the game commence. The shadows recoiled, their laughter echoing in Sarah's ears like the taunting caw of a crow. But she couldn't slow down. Each stride was infused with ferocity, supported by the flickering hope pouring from Lily's light. It was her beacon, and she closed her eyes for just a moment, drawing strength from the memory of her daughter's laugh. "Hold on, Lily." Sarah gasped, feeling the darkness claw at her, biting like icy fingers. Then, everything erupted. A gaping black maw opened before her, swallowing hope whole. Sarah's heart plummeted as icy tendrils wrapped around her legs, dragging her back into the void. "No! I won't lose you!" She screamed, her voice resonating, a lifeline slicing through despair. Just as the ground beneath her felt like it would crumble, a pulse of warm light surged toward her from the shadows, illuminating the nightmare like lightning in a storm. It was that same radiant essence that was Lily, but now, it flickered like a dying flame. "Mommy! Help!" The finality in her voice sent daggers of fear straight into Sarah's heart. "Keep fighting, Lily. I'm coming." She wanted to break through, but the shadow's grip tightened, thick as fog and heavy as lead. She slammed her fists against the darkness, battling the encroaching fear that clawed at her sanity. But then the laughter returned, a low, guttural snarl that echoed in her mind. "You see, Sarah, you're too late. This place is where we feast on despair. A banquet of souls. Your daughter is just the appetizer." "No." She wouldn't dare believe that lie. Drawing from the depths of despair, Sarah summoned everything she had left. Each memory of her daughter's smile, every hug, every laughter, they fused into a blinding shield. "Get away from her!" she bellowed. With newfound ferocity, she raised her arms. The shadows hesitated, swirling around her like a beast unsure whether to charge or flee. They recoiled as if stung, their tendrils retracting with every ounce of light that burst from Sarah. "Please." Lily's voice, fragile and quaking, anchored Sarah further. The moment felt precarious, like a thread about to snap, but in the shifting darkness, figures began to coalesce, shadowy forms twisted and distorted, hungrily gazing at Sarah, their eyes void of anything human. "You really thought you could save her? You brought her here. This is your fault." They shrieked in unison, overwhelming her with their sinister whispers. The truth jabbed at Sarah's chest like a nail. A visceral horror spread within her. "No, no. It can't be my fault." Panic threatened to drown her in its depths. Yet, it bubbled just below the surface, clamoring for attention. Suddenly, a revelation struck, sharp and vicious. "You're not real. You're just an echo of my fears." Sarah shouted, forcing herself to confront the shadows. "You don't belong here. Get out of my head." The air grew heavy with tension, thick as a storm cloud. Shadows hissed and writhed, their forms blurring with rage. "Scream. Scream for her. It won't change anything." They howled, a cacophony of shrieks drowning her out. "Stop," she begged. "I'm done listening. You're nothing but empty threats." In that moment, she glimpsed further into the darkness, a flicker of movement at its heart. Just past the chaos, a silhouette struggled, trapped in the black. "Lily?" Sarah's heart raced again, the tendrils of fear alighting within her. "I see you. I see you." And it wasn't just Lily's hazy silhouette. The other figures behind her took shape, entangled in their chains of darkness. Frightened faces gazed at Sarah, each one a plea for freedom. "Help us," they whispered, pulling at shards of Sarah's heart, stretching across the vast, creaking pain of human consciousness. But in the midst of trying to lend her strength, the shadows lunged, twisting painfully before her. They would not let her falter. "Join us, Mother. You can't save them, you can't even save yourself. Don't you see?" Desperation clawed at Sarah's throat. She had to make a choice. She could break, turn back, or plunge deeper into the dark. "I'll find a way," she shouted, her voice echoing with defiance as she clutched her chest, feeling the warmth of hope overshadowing the gnawing cold. Then, a sudden tremor shook the ground, and the shadows moved chaotically, their forms blending and separating, drunk on chaos. The sacrifice is required. They shrieked, voices overlapping in a terrifying symphony. Let us see how far you'll go to reach your precious, precious daughter. Fear enveloped Sarah, laced with a frenzy of courage igniting deep within. She was teetering on the edge of oblivion, but the light was there, flickering, fighting back. As she pushed forward into the chaos, the shadows lunged again, and part of Sarah wondered, what will be left of me? Mommy, Lily's voice echoed once more, fragile as a whisper enough to propel her forward into the churning chaos. What awaited next was a reckoning, and the dark grinned wickedly as it watched her move closer to the truth. Would the darkness become her end, or was it merely the beginning? A surge of adrenaline ripped through Sarah, propelling her deeper into the dark. The shadows, once merely a background threat, now writhed eagerly around her, a swarm of malice seeking to envelop her whole. Each gust of darkness felt like knives slipping through her skin, whispering twisted truths that made her blood run cold. Mommy. Lily's voice crackled through the chaos again, a desperate thread woven into the fabric of her horror. Sarah propelled herself, fueled by determination, heart pounding in tandem with the creeping dread. With every step, she kept her eyes locked onto that flickering light, struggling to reach it. Hang on, sweetheart. I'm coming. She cried, her own voice shaking with an aching urgency. But the shadows pulsed around her, their laughter resonating an echo that felt like betrayal, slashing like ice through her resolve. Foolish woman. You think the light can save you? You're just feeding us, feeding on your grief. The sinister horde danced closer, drawn to her every flash of hope. You brought her here. We'll make you wish you hadn't tea. No. She wouldn't let them take that from her. Sarah steeled her heart, desperate to find the fissure in the dark's grip. She felt the chilling tendrils flex and twist, yet she surged forward until she felt a strange pulse beneath her feet, like a heartbeat echoing from the depths of the lake. Ahead, the silhouettes transformed into a mosaic of characters, lost and anguished faces enveloped within chains of despair, clinging to fading remnants of identity. Many reached for her, wailing silent pleas that suffocated the air around Sarah. Was she, too, destined to become one of them? Help us. Please. They echoed, their whispers fading like autumn leaves brushed away by the wind. It felt like a vortex pulling her in, each tone mixing with the memories of sorrow already clawing at her resolve. No. No. You are not real. She screamed, forcing herself to fight back against the suffocating tide. You're just my fears taking form. But just then, the shadows coalesced into one dark figure, towering above her, a specter of dread. You think ignoring us will make us disappear? We are born from pain, and you will become part of us. But first it is time for your sacrifice. The air ebbed with a sinister tension, and Sarah's world began to tilt. Where once hope flickered brightly, now only a chilling whisper remained. You've already lost, Sarah. Now it's time for you to be judged. Judge me? I am not afraid of you. She spat, but doubt slithered into her heart like a snake, constricting her resolve. She had only to look around to partake of the defeated souls, their energy draining into nothingness. Suddenly, she felt a searing flash across her chest, a brand that burned with memories of love, her connection to Lily. I want to let you win. Sarah gasped, summoning every ounce of the love she wielded for her daughter. A blinding light erupted from her heart as she pushed forward, piercing through the inky horror that surrounded her. No! The shadows shrieked, recoiling as if burned. Yet the darkness lashed out with even more ferocity, sharpening into claws. They hurled towards her, and the shadows twisted violently, their anguished expressions shifting into grotesque masks of rage. She could sense them plotting her downfall. Sarah locked onto Lily's light, feeling its pulse fragile yet unwavering. I can save you. Just hold on. She cried, inching closer to the growing silhouette of her daughter, the warm glow battling against the encroaching abyss, but the shadows screamed, their angry roars intertwined with her fears. Your daughter is lost. Nothing can save her now. As doubt took root, Sarah's vision blurred in the humidity of despair, her heart pounded like the frantic beat of a drum. Suddenly, a snap echoed through the darkness, shattering her focus. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw something shifting, a reflection of something that was not shadows nor light, a shrouded keeper of secrets hidden at the lake's edge. Are you willing to risk everything to find the truth? It beckoned, voice low and enticing. What truth? Sarah yelled over the cacophony, her breath tight with fear. Yours and your daughter's. The shadows shrieked in outrage, but the pull of the whispers from the lake deepened, offering a sliver of clarity within the chaos. What truth waited within the depths, ready to reshape her fate? What would she have to face in the shadows that now encircled her? The answers dangled just out of reach, a whisper away from plunging into the depths of the unknown. Would she dare to uncover them, or would she succumb to the shadows forever? The figure at the edge of the lake shifted again, pulling Sarah's gaze. Clad in shadows itself, it seemed to weave in and out of existence, flickering like a dying bulb. Every instinct screamed at her to look away, to retreat from whatever horror it represented, but the strange energy emanating from it held her fast. Listen closely, for time is fleeting. The voice was chilling and smooth, like ice skimming over glass. The truth lies below. Your fear will guide you, and your love will either free you or destroy you. How? She shouted, desperation tinging her voice. What do I have to do? Dive into the depths, face what's buried within. The shadows writhed, their shrieks gaining volume as if enraged by the figure. Don't listen to it. You know better. This truth will tear you apart. They hissed, clawing at the air, trying to drag her back into the darkness that had almost consumed her. In that moment of agonizing choice, Sarah felt the pulse of her daughter's light clear and unwavering, cutting through her panic. It felt like a lifeline, reminding her of what was at stake. Lily. She cried out, her heart hammering. I can't leave you. Sacrifices must be made. The cloaked figure's voice became a mere echo, drowned in a chorus of anguish. But your journey will carve out the shadows surrounding your love. Only then can you find her. The shadows recoiled, rising like a storm, yet an inexplicable wave of courage descended upon Sarah. If she was to save Lily, she had to confront her worst fears. Without thinking, she sprinted toward the lake, each footfall pounding like thunder, the whispers of rage and despair intensifying. As she reached the water's edge, she hesitated. What if she couldn't find her way back? But that thought was engulfed by the fact that she had already faced darkness before. This time would be different. Steeling herself, she plunged into the icy depths, expecting to be swallowed whole. The water enveloped her, chilling her bones, but something else wrapped around her too, a sense of clarity amidst chaos. She could see now, even in this murky gloom. Shapes twisted below her like lost spirits, each carrying fragments of memories and regrets. As she swam deeper, the shadows transformed into hollow faces, echoing her own fears. Why are you here? One whispered, merging with the others. You will just add to our torment. No. This ends with me. Sarah shouted, her voice a defiant ripple in the icy water. The drowning sensation surged in her throat, but she pressed deeper, her hand reaching into the mass of despair. Suddenly, a vision fractured through the darkness, a glimpse of Lily, laughing, alive, submerged in joy. The image lit the abyss like a shooting star, bursting forth with raw power. Mommy. Lily's voice chimed, pulling Sarah forward, but from the depths, the anguished faces began to sink back, shadows clawing desperately as if they were tethered to her, craving her strength, seeking to drag her down. Motherhood is a curse. We will never let you go. They wailed, voices blending into a cacophony of self-pity and vengeance. Sarah gasped, fighting the insistence to listen, to yield to the grief they represented. I refuse. You do not own my heart. Bursting through the memories, she grasped the glowing image of her daughter, clenching it like a lifebuoy, with a surge of strength, she propelled herself upward, fighting against the darkness that tried to clasp around her legs, pulling her back down. But as she broke through the surface, gasping for air, she heard a voice behind her, smooth and unwavering. "You think you've escaped?" The truth is only beginning. As she stumbled onto dry land, trembling and drenched, the shadows gathered menacingly, their forms writhing ominously at the lake's edge, blacker than the deepest night. The cloaked figure now hovered above the water like a storm cloud, watching her with an unsettling grace. "Your fight has only awakened the depths of sorrow. It is time for your decision, Sarah. Will you choose to embrace the truth, or will you let the abyss consume you both?" Fear clawed at her throat as she faced the emergent darkness. Just when she thought she had found a moment of peace, the horrifying reality that lay ahead loomed like an unending nightmare. What more sacrifice awaited her in this dark play for her daughter's salvation? Was truth truly the light she sought, or would it plunge her deeper into despair? Sarah's heart raced as she stood at the water's edge, choking on the weight of dread pressing down upon her. A cacophony of whispers filled her mind, the anguished faces of the lost weaving through her thoughts, mingling with the visions of Lily. The pulling sensation from the darkness felt like icy fingers, teasing at the corners of her resolve. "Embrace the truth," the cloaked figure urged, its voice smooth like silk, but wrapped in a venomous taunt. "Or let darkness consume you." In that moment, she realized there was an unbearable depth to the shadows. For all of their terrifying ferocity, they were bound to her, an extension of the fears she harbored, clinging fiercely to the grief she bottled inside. With every breath she took, she felt trapped between fear and the relentless desire to save Lily, the innocence forged within her own heart. "No!" she screamed. "I want to be a prisoner. Not to my fears." With newfound defiance coursing through her, Sarah stepped forward, the very ground seeming to tremble beneath her feet. The wave of darkness surged toward her, skeletal hands clawing, seeking to drag her into their freezing grip. But her heart burned anew with a fierce determination. If she was to face the truth, she had to be willing to confront her pain head-on. "Lily!" she shouted, her voice echoing off the dark waters like a thunderclap. The shadows recoiled, fearful yet hungry, the twisted forms writhing in rage. "I'm coming for you." Summoning the memories of her daughter's laughter, Sarah plunged into the depths again, this time diving into the shadows, seeking out the truth buried within the darkest corners of her mind. As water wrapped around her once more, it was disorienting. The shades of the past flickered before her like disembodied echoes. Each haunting whisper of regret caressed her softly like a lover's touch, seductive yet bitter. "Why did you leave?" a familiar voice hissed, sharp as glass. It clawed at her heart, and Sarah fought against the spark of doubt. "You brought this upon yourself." Tall tales of sorrow twisted before her eyes, revealing pain long buried beneath the surface. Every fleeting doubt and every regret she thought she had locked away emerged from the shadows, taunting her. But she surged deeper, fighting the pull of despair. And then, like breaking glass, she saw a shimmer, a flicker of warmth fighting against the cold. "Mommy!" a soft voice echoed through the abyss. "Lily!" Sarah lunged toward the light, breaking free from the shadows that clung desperately to her limbs. "I'm right here." A heartbeat propelled her forward, igniting her spirit, pushing away fear. She burst through the surface again, gasping for breath, a wild light reflecting in her eyes as she bared herself to the truth. She could no longer hide or deny the shadows that threatened to consume her. The cloaked figure stood by the edge of the lake, watching her intently, its form flickering like a dying flame. "Will you accept the truth?" it whispered, challenging her resolve. "I will." Sarah shouted, the words a direct challenge. The desolation no longer held sway over her heart. In that key moment, she saw not only the tangled fear that had gripped her but the love, too, the fierce bond with her daughter that had sparked this whole harrowing journey. "Then embrace it," the figure cried, the darkness swirling like a tempest. "They're waiting." A dark storm churned at the water's edge, shadows cascading like an avalanche. Yet within that turmoil, something stirred. Mommy. With the edge of the water reflecting Lily's figure, Sarah could see her daughter, trembling yet alive, radiating warmth amidst the dark. Help me. Hold on, sweetheart. In that heartbeat, Sarah felt the pull of love reigniting as a fire in her chest, growing stronger as she envisioned their memories' past moments of joy, laughter, and connection. I'm here, Lily. I won't leave you. With each forceful step, she broke through every hesitation, stepping directly into the storm of shadow as powerful forces tugged at her. As she neared, the shadows hissed and swirled around her, desperate to reclaim their hold. But with the warmth of love illuminating her, Sarah thrust her hand toward her little girl, their fingers brushing. As if a switch ignited in the depths of the abyss, light exploded outward, illuminating the dark in a blinding wave. The shadows writhed and twisted, their forms contorting as they shrieked wildly against the sudden onslaught. No. You can't. You will pay. But Sarah stood tall, heart pounding with purity and fierce resolve in the love for her daughter. I choose her. I choose our love. In that moment, clarity surged forth, swallowing the darkness whole. The specters wailed and faded, overflowing with pain, but their grasp on her faded too. They misjudged the power of a mother's love, a force formidable and unparalleled, and then, everything stilled. Quiet wrapped around them like a soft blanket, the shadows diminished to whispers, retreating back into the depths they had emerged from. Sarah felt warmth surge through her as she turned her focus toward Lily, standing resilient in the golden light. In a heartbeat, they collided, arms enveloping each other in a fierce embrace. Mommy. Lily cried, tears shimmering in the glow. I was so scared. I know, baby. I'm here now. In their embrace, Sarah felt everything: the weight of loss and pain, the crushing despair that had nearly consumed her, and the redemptive warmth of love washing over them both. But as they locked eyes, an unyielding truth settled over them like a soft blanket: they had survived an ordeal that would forever transform their spirits. The lake shimmered under the fading light of the moon, releasing the last of the shadows into the depths. They could finally breathe, each exhale carrying away remnants of the darkness that had once threatened to consume them. As the dawn broke upon Cedar Creek, colors spilled vibrant across the sky, painting the aftermath of storms into a promise of renewal. Sarah and Lily stepped back from the edge, the old lake house behind them beginning to dissolve like a mist in the morning light. There's nothing left to fear, Sarah whispered, determination glowing in her heart. With Lily's hand firmly clasped in hers, they turned away from the water, ready to forge a future where love flourished uninterrupted. As they walked away from the haunted shores of Cedar Creek, a sense of peace nestled in their hearts. They knew their journey was far from over, but they now faced a world filled with light together, and just like that, the haunting whispers faded into myth, silencing the dark tales of Cedar Creek as Sarah and Lily embraced the promise of tomorrow. But make sure to stay tuned, because there's always a new story waiting just around the corner. You need to subscribe now to make sure you don't miss any exclusive adventures or spine-chilling tales that are coming next. Go ahead, smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm and keep the community strong. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions, theories, or thoughts about this intense conclusion. I want to hear from you. Lastly, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this story and share in this adventure too. Don't wait even one more second, it's up to true fans like you to help spread the word.